Welcome back to the Bryan Devore Connection. I'm your host, Bryan Devore. The secret that insurance companies don't want you to know about. What's that secret and how can you take advantage of it? Well, here to tell us that information is my friend, David Katz with Katz Capital Management. David, thanks for coming today.
Thank you very much for having me.
Yeah,
Excited to be here.
My pleasure. So you've been here before talking about your financial planning business. Today you're going to tell us a secret that insurance companies don't want you to know about. What is that secret?
Secret is that you can sell your life insurance policy to providers. So there are providers that have all been vetted and approved by the California Department of Insurance. These are investment bankers, hedge fund managers that will actually buy your life insurance policy and pay cash for it. This has been around for a long, long time, probably over 40 years now.
Oh, wow.
Started in the 80s. And most people don't know about it because the insurance companies don't want you to know about it. They want you to continue to make those premiums. So every year in America, every year, 2.3 million Americans either cancel their policy or take whatever cash value is in the policy, which is usually a very small amount.
Yeah.
Where they actually could be making a lot of money. Now, that equates to the insurance companies saving over $100 billion a year.
Holy
$100
cow.
billion a year.
That's
yes.
a large number.
So let me give you an example.
Yeah.
So first off, everything with my clients is strictly confidential.
Mm-hmm.
So, but the stories I'm going to share, I did get permission from my clients. So
Good.
other than that, everything's confidential. So
Good.
I had to do an annual review with a client. I met with her, and she was really upset. So I was like, what's her, we'll call her Mary. So I was like, Mary, what's going on? Why are you so upset? She goes, oh, I got this letter from an insurance company that because interest rates have been so low over the past few years, the cash in her policy wasn't growing quick enough to keep the policy alive, keep it active. So they said, if you want to keep this policy, we're going to need a check for $6,000.
Oh, wow.
$6,000. So I said, oh my gosh, that's what I said. Wow. So I said, well, what are you going to do? She goes, I'm just going to cancel it. I said, but you've had this for like 20 years. She goes, yeah, but she goes, I am not paying $6,000. So I said, let me ask you a question. Would you be at all interested, curious about selling your policy? And I explained to her that there are providers out there that have all been vetted, approved by the California Department of Insurance that will buy your policy. She said, absolutely. So we went through the procedure, and I shopped it. What I like to do is I have about 12, 15 different providers. So once I shop it, if I get one offer, I'm like, okay, I got that offer. Now let's see if this person, they might either say, nah, I'm not interested, or yeah, I'll make an offer and maybe it's a little higher. Oh, and then I'll shop it again and again, and eventually it levels out and we literally go with the highest bidder. So we sold the policy for cash. You got a nice check. And with that money, because you could do anything you want with it once you get paid, she has 2 grandchildren. And she started a college fund for both kids. So now it's a real win-win. She was able to sell the policy. She got a lump sum check. And her grandkids are going to help supplement for college.
That's amazing. So what types of policies can you help people sell?
Great question. So I am interested in buying term policies as long as it's still convertible. If it's not convertible to a permanent policy, then I can't help. And if you do have a term, just call me. I can look at the policy and know in a second if it's still convertible.
Mm-hmm.
So term policies, group term policies. If let's say you're at a job, you leave the job, and that policy comes with you, I can work with that. I can work with universal life, whether it's guaranteed universal life, variable universal life, or indexed universal life. And of course, whole life, survivorship, like a second to die policy. So really what I would say, if anyone is at all interested, give me a call. We can do an assessment. It's absolutely free. And I can pretty much give you an idea of what kind of value, what kind of money your policy can fetch.
Yeah, and so obviously you can't say how much they'll get. Everything's different. Every situation's different. I'm guessing it depends on how long they've had it, what the face value is. There's some formula that they use.
So great question. So what are they looking for? So they're looking for owners that are at least 65 years old.
Okay.
The death benefit, the actual death benefit, it needs to be at least 100,000 or higher. I mean, I've seen, 10 million. It doesn't matter. But it must be a minimum of 100,000. And then, of course, health. And the interesting thing, unlike when you want to buy a life insurance, the underwriters want you to be in perfect health.
Mm-hmm.
With people that want to buy your policy, actually you could be in very poor health, and that's really what they're looking for. So those are just three factors. There's a couple more, but that would be more one-on-one, those types of questions. But that's kind of an overview of what they're looking for.
Yeah, I can see why the insurance companies don't want you to know about this, because they want to let the policy, they want the people to keep paying the policy. Even if they don't need the policy anymore, they want them to keep sending them checks and not sell it.
No, of course, they want, exactly. They want those premiums coming in. Like I said, every year, the insurance companies are saving over $100 billion.
That's amazing.
Interesting fact, what most people don't know, only about 15 to 20% of all life insurance policies ever pay the death benefit. Because like I said, most people either cancel or they just surrender it for whatever little cash value is in the policy. So only about 15 to 20% the insurance companies will ever pay. That's why their names are on all the big buildings in downtown.
Right. Now you have a success story, another success story that you wanted to share, which I think can really show people in a lot of different industries how this could benefit.
Absolutely. So I have a gentleman, again, one of my clients, everything's confidential, but we'll call him Joe. And Joe lived in an apartment, one-bedroom apartment. It is in Escondido. And very happy guy living there, but all of a sudden he started having a problem with balance. He kept falling, and it was getting worse and worse. And his children became very concerned. And long story short, they went to the doctors, they ran a whole bunch of tests, and he had some kind of a cognitive situation where it just wasn't safe for him to stay in his one-bedroom apartment. So he needed to move to a community, whether it was a independent living community or an assisted living community. He needed, to be in a community. And he understood that. He knew that he was having this problem. Now, he didn't have a house to sell because he was living in an apartment. But he did have some assets, but again, some assets. But he did have a life insurance policy. So when I met with him, I brought up the subject of selling his policy. And I said, this could help to supplement everything you have already in place. And he loved the idea. So we filled out some paperwork. We did an assessment. The paperwork went to the underwriters. They did, their thing, and they made an offer. And I said, you know what, Joe, great news. We got you an offer. But let's shop it. I've got about 15, 20 different providers that, may want to also make an offer. Let's see if we can maximize this and get as much money for you as we can. So we did. And there was a couple providers that were interested. Obviously, we went with the most best, the best one, the one that was offering the most money. Literally, got his check, which he put in, into the bank, and now he moved into a community. And what has made him so thankful is now he has the peace of mind of knowing that if this is a longer stay, if it's a situation where it's going to last more than, maybe 4, 5, 6 years, he now has the resources, the assets to pay for it. So, and without that, without selling the policy,
He wouldn't have had enough money.
he had assets, but it may not have been enough to stretch.
Right.
If it was a longer situation.
Yeah. That's fantastic. So you want to learn more about this if you have a life insurance policy and if you're considering discarding it. David's information is on screen, his phone number, it's his cell number, and also his website, so you can give him a call and learn more about this and see if it's a right fit for you. David, thank you very much for coming today.
I just want to add one more thing, if I may. In 2003, which is the latest they have on statistics, so these providers paid out for the whole, not just saying California, but for the whole country, almost $1 billion. It was about 850 million was paid out to people like you and me that didn't either. There's only 3 reasons you would do this. Either you don't want the policy anymore, you don't need the policy, or you can't afford the premiums. So what I mean by you don't need it is maybe when you were younger, let's say you bought a house and you bought a 30-year term policy to pay them, that would pay off the mortgage if, God forbid, you walked out of life early. Well, that term policy is, you don't need it. The house is paid off. Maybe you have a couple more years left on that policy, but the house is already paid off. And it's just kind of sitting there. You've just been so used to paying. Well, now this is a great opportunity before it matures to get an offer, maybe make some money.
Why not?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So if you don't need it, don't want it, or can't no longer afford the premiums,
a pretty good chance if you fall in that category, give this man a call. Thanks, David.
Thank you.